Hi everyone, my name is Lorby, aka Twitter user at tokusatsu, which you probably already know if you're watching this video. And you may be wondering, Laura, why aren't you holding your microphone? And that's because I got a new phone and I had to get a new mic for it, and the clip did not break immediately upon me opening said microphone, so now I got a new mic, and it can clip to my shirt, which means that I will be flapping my hands about much more than I used to, which is not the point. Now, if you are wondering what this video is, well, as you guys know, I watch a lot of tokusatsu. And while my top 10 tokusatsu shows of all time video is still going to be the best indicator of my taste, I just really wanted to make a video for the end of the year covering my thoughts on every tokusatsu show that I finished this year. So some of these are shows that started in 2024 and then ended in 2025. Some of them are shows that I just so happened to finish this year. But regardless, they are finished and I finished them this year, and I just wanted to express my thoughts. So, before we get into this, usual disclaimers apply. Number one, this video will contain spoilers. If I'm going to talk about a show that you have not seen and that you want to watch, feel free to exit out of the video, watch it, form your own opinion, and then you can come back to mine. Number two, you are going to disagree with me. I am like 100% sure that if you watch this video, you're going to disagree with me, especially because this is more in line with a review than it is like a really deep analysis kind of video. But if you do disagree, then just be cool and normal about it. It's all that I ask for. And number three, I'm not trying to change anyone's minds. I am not trying to say that anyone who disagrees with me is a bad person or has the wrong opinion, in quotes. I'm just trying to say that, these are my thoughts, and you don't have to agree. You're not a bad person if you disagree. That's all. Please don't hurt me. So yeah, let's cut the crap and then just get into it. So, Kamen Rider Gov is a show that I know people have very strong positive opinions about, and so that is why I am going to start with the parts of the show that I view positively. Number one, Shoma's stomach. Excellent primary writer. I love him a lot. I see a very, very large amount of myself in him. I have no beef with Shoma at all. Number two, Sachika. Do I think that her potential as a character was completely wasted? Yes, and we'll get into that. But also, I don't hate her. I think she could have been an extremely strong female lead, even if she was never going to be a writer, you know? So that's another thing. And then lastly, Lakia. Lakia is the Reiwa era equivalent of Teru Ryu from Double, in that I love him a lot, and like, if you know anything about me, it's like, yeah, of course you love him a lot, Laura. He's a grumpy older brother who wants revenge. Any one of those things could have like propelled him to fave status, and what ended up happening is, yeah, that happened. And as a result, like, I can't watch other Shoji Kohei works without thinking like, oh, I'm in love with this man now. And every time I watch basketball now, or not every time I watch basketball, but when it's the Nuggets versus the Miami Heat, Sconugs, I always get really happy when we beat the Heat, because I know that's his basketball team, and I have to win against this guy somehow, because he stole my heart, and I already have enough men that I stan. I didn't also need Shoji Kohei, but here I am in Shoji Kohei hell, so thank you, Lakia. And another thing I can say about Gov that I definitely liked is the suit design. I have no issues with like the visual language of Gov, so to speak. I think all the suits were super, super clean. Gov caking is my favorite of Shoma's suits. I think it's just so cute and so like meaningful as well, so I love that one a lot. And then I love Jelly Custom as well. I actually bought a color of nail polish. I'm not wearing it right now because it doesn't match my shirt, but I actually bought a color of nail polish so that I could make nails based on Jelly Custom, and that hasn't panned out yet, and it might not, but we're not going to get into that quite yet. And this is most certainly me, you know, damning Gov with faint praise, but it never made me so angry that I cried, and it is not my least favorite Reiwa era Kamen Rider. So it has that going for it. And now that I have said all of that, there's going to be a timestamp on your screen. So if you are someone who has a very strong love for Gov, if you are someone who, you know, found Gov's themes and story resonating with you, you're going to want to skip to that timestamp because that is the end of this section. I am about to not be very nice, and I just know that when I have the choice to not read about people who dislike Revice, for example, I always take that because I've read every complaint in the book and I just don't want, you know, to hear something that I love getting trashed. So seriously, if you love Gov, skip to the timestamp. I don't know exactly what it's going to be at the time of me recording this because I need to like edit this video and everything, of course, but just skip there. I'm begging you. And if you choose not to skip there and you want to leave a negative comment about me and my Gov thoughts, don't say I didn't warn you, but also go ahead, because in the end, even a negative comment is engagement, and the algorithm loves engagement. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you don't think you can handle it, just skip to the timestamp. I'm not gonna get mad at you. Nobody will get mad at you. You have the right to your own opinion as much as I have the right to mine. So yeah. You know, the thing about Gov is, like I said, it is not my least favorite of the Reiwa era. It's my second least favorite of the Reiwa era. And I have a lot of problems with it from a writing perspective, and I have a lot of problems with it from a story perspective as well. So let's get into it, because if I don't get into it, then nobody will ever feel brave enough to share their opinions about Gov if they're negative. And if I can't make someone happy with a video, I want to at least make it so people feel a little bit more brave. So here's me being brave. First off, the way that Gov treats its female characters is terrible, and I'm really tired of pretending otherwise. I have seen people call Gov a feminist work, and that is not true, simply because it is never the intention of a Kamen Rider series to be a feminist work. The intention of a Kamen Rider series is to sell toys. It's never going to be a feminist work. We can only have series that treat its women well, and series that treat its women poorly, and Gov very, very firmly falls into the latter category. And it almost feels like I'm being gaslit sometimes, because people will say like, oh, Sachika, she's so good, she's such a good female lead, she's so involved. And I'm just sitting here like, is she? Are we looking at the same Amane Sachika? Like, I don't get why people pretend that Sachika being locked out of the loop and not knowing what's going on for half the series is a good thing, because it's not. I don't get why people act like it's so revolutionary that she provides emotional support, because that's not revolutionary. That is the role of female characters in like a bunch of Japanese media and just a bunch of stories in general. And it sucks that she's not a writer, and I will say that because Kamen Rider is an action series, you know? And so by not allowing any woman to be involved in that action directly, you're also cutting them out from where a lot of the story takes place. And I don't think there's anything wrong with female non-combatants. I have said that there is nothing wrong with female non-combatants. But when your female non-combatants also don't know what's going on for like half the show, can you really say that they're involved and that they're contributing? I don't think that you can. And Sachika is not the only woman in Gov who is mistreated in this way. We have Shida, who is fridged, and I have seen people say, oh, she's not fridged actually for whatever reason, but what does her death really accomplish in the narrative aside from making Jeep sad? It's not like she's important enough to really cause a huge ripple effect. What happens is she dies and then Jeep loses his mind and gets sad about it. Am I crazy, or like, this is fridging? She got stuff into the fridge. And I think admitting that is better than making up excuses or ignoring the text just to justify the fact that you don't really mind that this female character died. We have Glada. Glada could have been a very, very interesting antagonist. She could have been like the Agave equivalent from Gotchard, and I really would have loved to see that. But she ends up just dying so that Lakia's revenge arc can finish, which means that she dies in the service of a man's story. Are you sensing a pattern here? And then with Lizelle, it's like she exists so that someone can make Jeep suffer more. And don't get me wrong, I don't think there's anything wrong with like a character suffering. I love it when guys suffer. But when all the women are just existing for man pain, it's really frustrating as a viewer because women should get to do more than that. Hot take, I know, crazy. And I also just don't understand why Lakia had to be a guy, you know? Like, if you're gonna make up a new granute for this role, why not make it a woman? There is nothing inherently gendered about, you know, having a younger sibling who gets addicted to drugs and dies. That could happen to anyone of any gender. So why does Lakia have to be a guy? And I'm saying this as someone who loves Lakia and just went off about my crush on Shoji Kohei, so don't think this is me hating Lakia. I'm just sitting here and asking, if you're gonna make up a new person for this, why not make that person a woman? I like almost wonder if after Gottsched had this super strong female cast and our first female secondary writer, I just can't help but wonder if someone at Toei was like, okay, that's enough. We don't need to do anything else for the girls now. It's over, we're done. And it's really frustrating. And even if the men act in a way that is not, you know, toxically masculine, that still does not a feminist work make, simply because the male characters and the female characters aren't being treated equally here, you know? So I don't know, I have read like every single defense of how poorly the women in GOV are treated, and I just don't get it because it feels like people are making up a show that doesn't exist in the text, you know? And it's irritating. It's really, really frustrating. Especially as someone who's thought a lot about feminism and Kamen Rider, we just took such a huge leap back, and I feel insane because nobody else seems to see it, you know? And it's really disappointing. And what's more is that I feel like thanks to GOV, you know, a lot of people in the tokusatsu fandom have been more mask off about their misogyny, because here we have a show where the women and the men are blatantly not treated equally, and it's never really viewed as a bad thing. And so now people are being like, oh, well, women shouldn't be writers anyway. People wouldn't be thinking like that if women writers were in here. Y'all know that, right? Or even if they were thinking it, they at least would not be thinking about it in a public way. So it's been very, very, very frustrating to see. And then before I say this next thing, I just want you guys to know I am not homophobic, and I am queer. I am not a heterosexual person. So please don't view this as me, you know, actively trying to hate on gay men or gay people, because no, it's not what I'm doing here. And please don't hurt me also, because I know that people are very passionate about this ship, and I think that's fine. You know, be passionate about a ship. I've done that before. You have seen me do that before if you watch my other videos, you know? I don't like Chocogummy, like, at all. No. And on paper, like, I should absolutely adore Chocogummy, because I'm the kind of person who ships the primary and the secondary together even if it makes no goddamn sense. Like, I've stated on this channel that my OTP is Emu and Hero from Xaid. Most people don't walk out of Xaid shipping Emu and Hero. It's not like the thing that the show wants you to ship, so to speak. So, by virtue of them being a primary and secondary ship, I should love Chocogummy, but I don't, because it's very, very rarely made out to be about Shoma's feelings. It's very rarely made to be about Shoma, and I feel like that's because if, you know, we did focus on Shoma's feelings and his experiences in this relationship, we would be forced to reckon with the fact that, at best, Hanto is not that great of a boyfriend. Like, I think Chocogummy, I saw the potential in it and I liked it until Hanto finds out that Shoma is a granute and punches him in the face. Simply put, if a guy hits you once, he's going to hit you again, and that's not healthy. That is not someone who should be in a relationship with anyone at all, because that relationship is inherently unsafe. And later on, when Hanto wants to find Shoma's human family, and Shoma states, hey, I'm not ready for that, and Hanto's like, well, I'm gonna go behind your back and do it anyway, that is crossing a boundary, and that is also a very toxic trait. That's not good, and if you happen to be in a relationship with someone who has treated you like that, I sincerely hope that you have the support system necessary to get out of there, because That's very, very unhealthy, and I don't want to sit here and pretend that it is, you know? And it's not like I don't love toxic yaoi every now and then, because I love toxic yaoi, and even later in this video, I'm going to talk about some toxic yaoi I like, so it's not like I don't like toxic yaoi. But Chakogami is never played for toxic yaoi. It's always like, oh, they're so sweet together, and it's like, are they? Because what I see is Shoma's stomach, somebody who very rarely stands up for himself, very rarely, you know, expresses his own feelings out of an interest in not being abandoned, and I see someone who is going behind his back and hitting him, and that's not healthy. I can't suspend my disbelief and view it as like the cute little gay ship that everyone else seems to, and it's honestly really frustrating. Any opinion that I express that's a contrarian opinion, I'm never doing that on purpose. I just watch a show, and then my brain does a thing, and it's the opinion that I have, and I can't control it. And one of the things I can't control is the fact that this ship is not healthy, and I don't like it. I don't want to see it. I think Shoma deserves a lot better. And then another problem that I have with Gov is its portrayal of addiction. What people usually say is, oh, well, it's actually fine that Shoma and Tanto were killing these people just because, you know, they were involved in human trafficking. I'm gonna tell you this one time. Most drug addicts aren't killing people for their fix. Shocking, I know. But, like, I don't know, if you're, like, addicted to heroin, for example, then yeah, you're gonna do sketchy things to get more heroin, but you're probably also not gonna murder anyone about it, you know? And it's very unlikely that you'll be involved directly with the manufacturers or the, like, distributors of that beyond getting your fix from them, you know? And the thing is, like, even the sympathetic Granute who's addicted to dark treats Kommel still dies, so the message that kids are getting is not, you know, drug addicts are people who are suffering from a disease and need help. The message they're getting is drug addicts need to be killed on sight because no matter what, they're evil and deserve to die. Rehabilitation isn't really brought up as an option until the very end, and it's just super disappointing because if human life is more important than peace and justice, then shouldn't we be saving those lives? And much like with Gov's treatment of its female characters, I have seen people mask off, be like, well yeah, every drug addict deserves to die, which is crazy because drug addicts are people suffering from a disease. To paraphrase, you know, Karl Marx, which is a completely normal thing to do in your criticism of a season of Kamen Rider, to paraphrase Karl Marx, people wouldn't need opium if society was not so crushing that we needed an escape, right? So whatever the hell's going on in the Granute world to make people turn to dark treats, that's the problem that should be addressed, not individual users. And as a result, like, if nothing is going to really change in the Granute world aside from separating it from the human world at the end, then what's the point? That's just a bunch of people with a disease who got killed because they didn't want to quit cold turkey on the spot, which is kind of messed up for me. And if you are one of the people that thinks that drug addicts in real life should in fact just die, you should watch Trainspotting or The Outrun. Those are two very, very good movies about addiction, and I think that if you watch them, you might be able to develop a little bit more empathy towards your fellow man. And that sort of ties in with another problem I have with Gov, which is the fact that its world building doesn't really do enough. You know, you have the Granutes, you have this society of aliens, and it's never really explored how they're meaningfully different from humans, nor is it explored what the socioeconomic factors getting all these people addicted to dark treats are, you know? Like, they eat rocks, they have a president, and there's a drug cartel. That's not world building, that's just facts, you know? In a vacuum, like, if I had my sci-fi planet and I was like, oh, they eat glass, they have a king, and they have a thriving alcohol industry. Well, okay, why and what, and what's the history that led to those things? What else is the culture? What traditions do they have? What jobs do they have? What is so terrible about this culture that makes it so people are turning to dark treats? Because of this lack of world building, like, even if there were all female writers, even if rehabilitation was frequently brought up, and even if Chakogami was a ship that I felt safe shipping, it still wouldn't be a good story simply because the granute aspect is so underdeveloped, you know? And I feel like this might be because Komura Junko is mostly known for her work in Sentai, which is meant for an even younger demographic than that of Rider, but Goth feels very tell and not show in a way that feels a bit condescending. Like, you can show me how the characters are feeling and I can pick up on that without you having to tell me. And I think another facet where this comes out is that it's great that kids are learning healthy communication, it's great that the characters always talk everything out, but that makes for really boring television, you know? And I read a blog post, I read this Japanese blog post about Komura Junko's writing, and some problems in that writing that come up in Gov, and the phrasing that really stuck out to me was it's a bunch of lines that don't explode. And when you're watching Kamen Rider, I don't know if it's just me, but I kind of want those lines to explode. And I don't think this is as unpopular of an opinion as the things that I just expressed, but that finale was bad. It didn't feel like the status quo meaningfully changed. And yeah, you know, the door to the Granite world is shut now. Well, first let's talk about that door. The final boss is a door, and I have said that I love Lakia. I love Lakia. If he had died closing that door, at least I would have felt something, you know? And instead it's just like, oh, well now the door's closed and the Granutes can't get over there. There you go. And I'm a very firm believer that V-cinemas should not be used to finish a story. V-cinemas should be used to enhance a story that's already been told. Like Gaim, for example, what with its V-cinemas, and specifically the Baron and Zangetsu ones, taking place mid-canon, those enhance a story that's already been told, they don't complete a story that just was left unfinished, right? And with Gov's V-cinemas existing to wrap up Gov, it's just really disappointing to me. I think that you should be able to watch an entire series and then be done with it, and then the V-cinemas can come in and like show another perspective, or show like a minor plot point that maybe wasn't completely wrapped up. But they shouldn't wrap up the main plot. You see what I'm saying? And I don't like Got Boost. I don't like Got Boost. At first I was just bitter because it wasn't my, you know, J-pop boy band's choice doing it. But I've learned more about Fantastics since Goth started airing, and I've listened to more of their music, and they have good songs, so I don't know what happened with Got Boost. It's just so boring. And I don't think that a Kamen Rider theme song should make you feel bored. I think it should, like, pump you up for the action that you're about to see. So, it's very disappointing. And I'm sorry, Fantastics. I'm sorry that you had to sing that, because I know that y'all got good songs. Got Boost just isn't one of them to me. And like I said, I am not trying to be contrarian on purpose. I really hate having really unpopular opinions like this because it's very isolating. You know, there are things that it's acceptable to criticize in the tokusatsu fandom, and I can already tell that Gov is very much not one of them. So I'm, you know, putting a huge target on my back and everything, but it just sucks. I don't want to have these unpopular opinions. I don't want to dislike Gov. And I love Shoma so much. I adore Shoma. I will never not adore Shoma. I just wish he was in a show that I could sit down and properly enjoy. So yeah. Sorry to all Gov heads. I didn't mean to. So I first conceptualized this video after Boom Boom Jer ended, but before Gov ended, and I was initially going to be a lot harsher on Boom Boom just because, I mean, it's not a perfect show, but here's the thing, given some time and distance, and given the highs and lows and all over the placeness of Gozuger, what I can say about Boom Boom Jer is this. At least it's not Gov. I truly feel like I just got unlucky. You know, Boom Boom Jer was always going to have a tough road ahead of it for me, because it's following a show that I absolutely adore and that I feel very strongly about. And I just got unlucky because my favorite character ended up being Sakito, who was sidelined for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then when he finally did get a focus episode, it was also like a Genba focus episode, and that kind of sucked. I'm not going to say that it didn't suck, but if your favorite character is like anyone who's not Sakito, and I mean like anyone, if you like Bundorio, Bundi, Shirabe, anyone else, then you're going to have a great time. I just got unlucky there. I do think that Boom Boomger had a very slow start, especially compared to King Oger, which, you know, hits the ground running from the first episode and has this very serialized storyline. But, like, circa episode 15 or 16, like, I was really enjoying myself, you know? I loved Sakito's intro to three-parter. I loved, you know, the Jogo Kaiger and Right Tokyucher cameos. That was awesome. I loved seeing two of my favorite Sentai seasons, you know, represented in there. And I don't know, there's a lot that I think it's very possible to love that just didn't check with me, you know? But in the end, out of 2024's toku shows, is Boom Boomger my favorite? Hard no, but it's not my least favorite either. And you know, the suit designs really grew on me. The mechs are great. I love Bundi and Bundorio. Shout out to gay aliens that look like robots, gotta be one of my favorite genders. I liked the champion jackets. I will never not be bitter that my favorite character didn't get one. But, like, they're cool and everything. I like the way that the plot escalates. I like the way that the writers dropped in the little hints at reveals. Things like Taya saying, you know, kids can't do anything to help each other, but I can help people now. Or Genba's weird lines that, like, totally make sense in the context of him being a 100,000-year-old alien Amazon prince. So that's, like, cool. I don't know. It never grabbed me as much as it did some other people, but not in a way that I actively dislike seeing it, you know? It was, in the end, it's a very good season of Sentai, where I just got super unlucky about my favorite character, and that sucks. It sure sucks, but it happens sometimes. And even throughout Sakito's sidelining, like, at least he was consistent, you know? It's not a case like Geats, for example, where Keiwa started one way, got sidelined for weeks, and then came back, and his writing just made him unrecognizable. The whole time Sakito was Sakito, and I liked that about him. And I also don't really ship Tire Meter, which is funny because I named it that. But again, it's not like it's a bad ship. I just can't really see it as anything besides unrequited on Ichiro's part. But that's not a bad thing. I wouldn't have written fanfiction of it if it didn't intrigue me to some extent. And just because I'm a tire circuit truther doesn't mean that there's nothing there, you know? So I don't know, with Boom Boomger, it's not my favorite Sentai, it's not my favorite of 2024, it could be a lot worse, and I think most people are going to love it. Just maybe not us poor Sakito stans who got to watch our purple boy be nothing in the background for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. I made a video about this. You can watch it. So, I have spent a lot of this year being mentally ill, and I wanted to watch a show that I had never seen anyone express an opinion about, so that my opinion couldn't be wrong. And then so I landed on watching Denji Sentai Mega Ranger, and I don't regret it. It was a lot of fun. For one thing, like, I've seen every episode of Power Rangers, but I don't think a lot about seasons that I don't love. And because of that, I don't often think about Power Rangers in space. But through watching Mega Ranger, I was like, oh, that's the Monster of the Week from this episode. That's from there. I guess I have a lot more Power Rangers in space stored in my subconscious than I thought I did, which is kind of cool. And I don't know, I really liked it. It was a really fun show, really fun cast. I really love Miku and Kenta. I could definitely see that Kamen Rider Forze was very much inspired by Mega Ranger. if only because Kenta and Shun are so clearly just the 90s version of Gentaro and Kengo, so that was really fun too. Good red blue, I always love a good red blue. I really loved the music. Kinosei Kana is a really pretty song. I loved the visuals that go along with it as well, but also just, they don't make ending theme ballads like that anymore, and I think that they should. I think that they should. And also, I think that the choice at the end for everyone to find out like the civilian identities of the Mega Rangers, and then like everyone's like, fuck you for being the Mega Rangers, that's a terrible writing choice. Awful writing choice. Came out of nowhere, but it is really funny. It's really funny. So yeah, Mega Ranger, it's a fun little Sentai show. I don't regret watching it. I had a lot of fun. It's not, you know, it doesn't break new ground or anything really. I know that Sentai had done high school settings before this, and I know that, you know, I guess I don't know that in the future we're gonna get any Sentai set in high school, because we might not get a lot more Sentai for a while, but you know what I mean. I've seen high school shows. They will keep making high school shows simply because it is a setting that you can do a lot with. So it doesn't break new ground, but it's fun. The cast is great. Mega Denji Sentai Mega Ranger. Ultraman Taiga! Ultraman Taiga is a very good season of Ultraman in my opinion. For one thing, there are a lot of tokusatsu shows, especially Toei-produced tokusatsu shows, who kind of try to do this theme of, you know, discrimination and confronting the other, and I feel like Taiga does a far better job of that than most Toei shows pull off. Namely because it never pissed me off. And I think part of that is because within the context of Ultraman Taiga, being an alien is a lot less race-coded and more like queer-coded. Like the episode where Homare ends up being like, I'm an alien, and everyone's just like, okay, and they accept him for it. That feels a lot more like a coming out scene, and you can't exactly come out as a different race because that's not how that works. People usually can tell. But I don't know, I just feel like that works a lot better as like a container for the metaphor that we're working with here. So I really liked that firstly. You know, the characters are really great. Firstly, the Tri-Squad are hilarious. I love the way that they play off of each other. The characters who are not Ultras are also great. I love Homare a lot, because of course I like the blue and a red blue ship, everyone point and laugh. The characters are great. The antagonist is great. Traeger. Whew. Fucked up dude, we gotta kill this guy. I don't know, it's not my favorite Ultra that I watched this year, but I enjoyed it a lot and I don't regret watching it. I had a lot of fun. And I also suffered a lot, and I think a good tokusatsu series is you're having fun and also you are suffering. So yeah, I just really enjoyed it. No complaints with Taiga. Theme song goes hard too. Yeah. So without getting into it too deeply, I had a really rough February, and in February I watched all of Ultraman Ginga with my friend, and it was exactly what I needed. Like, there are episodes of tokusatsu shows that are very comforting to me, but Ginga is like a comforting series to me, you know? I really loved it. I loved it. I loved the characters. I love Hikaru, obviously. He is real and he is my friend. I love Nagisa. Hey guys, it's me editing Laura. You can tell because I'm wearing my glasses. I don't know why I said Nagisa because I meant Chigusa. I meant Chigusa. I can't always control the words that are coming out of my mouth, but I meant Chigusa. Back to you. Because, you know, I understand the dream of being an idol because that's my dream too. And it was just free therapy. And I think that Ginga really proves that a show doesn't need an astronomically high budget to be enjoyable. Ginga is literally $5 and dreams. And it still managed to touch my heart and make me feel better in a time where I really, really needed it. And so I would like to thank it for that. Just excellent. If you're having a bad day and you just want to, you know, feel like an Ultraman is hugging you, you should watch Ginga. It'll help. And then we get to Ginga S, and this fucking gay mole ruins my fucking life. I didn't ask for this guy. People warned me about show, and I should have listened because, oh my god, I hate him. I love him. I love him. Like, of course, I love the most secondary writer-coded Ultraman character to exist on the planet Earth. Of course I do. I'm simple, and I am weak, and he is buff, and he's in Revice. He's in Revice, seriously. It's the episodes with Tsukasa from Lupato and Hiromi and all that stuff. He's in there, and now that I know he's in there, it's just like, oh great, here I am watching Revice, show starring a man that I'm in love with, and here's another man that I'm in love with. Getting beat up and stuff. What is a girl to do? But yeah, Ginga S was super cool. It had a lot of really great storylines. I like its commitment to making all of the Ginga characters bisexual. I just enjoyed it a lot. It was... Hikaru's show. When I finished Deca Ranger last year, I just thought, God, Bun and Hoji, I hate them. I hope they're making out sloppy style. And then I had the exact same reaction to Hikaru's show, so you better be making out sloppy style, you stupid idiots. In the movie, that part in the movie where, like, they're handcuffed together, but Sho gets his shirt off somehow, how did he do that? How the fuck did he do that? I have been thinking about this ever since I saw it. How did he get his shirt off? He was handcuffed to another man. How do you do it? If you can figure out how he did that, leave a comment. And yeah. But yeah, I just loved Ginga and Ginga S a lot. I'm glad that I watched them both. They, you know, are favorites of mine for extremely different reasons, but I'm never gonna turn down free therapy, and I'm never gonna turn down characters who are Laura bait, I guess. So yeah. Kamen Rider fucking Kabuto fucks. It's awesome. It goes so hard. I don't even know where to start in terms of saying what I liked about it. That's how good it is. Like, from the theme song, which is such a banger, I really hope that I get the chance to cover it eventually, because I love it so much. It's so catchy and it gets you so pumped up, and it just really fits with like Kabuto and the whole like super speed clocking up thing because of the fast tempo and everything, so that's really cool. The only other tokusatsu show that I've ever put in the crack cocaine category in my tier list is Kamen Rider Decade, and now Kabuto is also there because it is crack cocaine. It's insane, but it's insane in the best way. It's like you're getting a hit of the good stuff. The characters, oh my god, the characters. Tendo, firstly, he has that line early on where he's like, grandmother once said, act like the world revolves around you. It's more fun that way. And I was like, oh my god, that's me. That's my philosophy. I do that. And also, like, as someone who loves cooking and works in food service and just knows a lot about cooking, like, seeing a character who is purported to be an excellent chef actually being an excellent chef, it's possible. His knife skills, oh my god. Peak. 10 out of 10. Great job. Great job. We have Kagami, who has, first of all, Kagami's debut as Gatak, top 3, I would say, secondary writer debuts ever. Maybe that'll be a top 10 I make someday. But he's at least top 3 because holy shit, that two-part is so cool. And I can only be myself, but I am who I am. That's the kind of thing that, like, I would get tattooed on, like, my body somewhere. Such a great line, and such a great message to show to kids. He grows so much, and I loved watching him grow. I didn't like that he became a cop at the end, but they can't all be winners, you know? We have Tsurugi, who I exclusively called Scorpy. King Oji fan. by all means, I should have hated Tsurugi, and then I didn't. I refer to him a lot as my IKEA monkey, because he is stylishly dressed and he shouldn't be here. He's just so charming and cute and useless, and he has a sword, and then his ending comes, and I was sobbing. I had to take a break, because the ending of Kabuto is insane. Kabuto Endgame, I don't think that my pulse dipped once. Just insane shit going on, every single facet of it, and it was awesome. It was so much fun to watch. And so I hate Inoue Toshiki's writing. Kabuto has a lot written by Inoue Toshiki, and I didn't hate it. So like, whatever they put in there to make his stuff not make me want to tear my hair out, why did we stop feeding him that? And my god, the Hellhoppers. My friend Kyle predicted that I would love the Hellhoppers. He was right. Thank you, Kyle. There's just, I mean, first of all, they're aesthetic. They dress like novelcore, so there you go. But also just like the idea of someone seeing you at your absolute lowest point and then not being like, it's okay, I will help you up, but instead being like, I'll accept you as long as you're willing to get way fucking worse with me. That's just both really funny, really tragic, and their ending too, like, what is wrong with them? I went to their AO3 tag immediately after I finished watching Kabuto. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. And the thing is, like, going into Kabuto, I had seen Godspeed Love with no context. Why is it God Bless America? Why is it God Bless America? Why did they... what? It's not the point. Point is, I had seen Godspeed Love with no context, and I knew that there was BDSM in the woods, so I spent all this series waiting for them to do BDSM in the woods, and then I got there and it was like, yes! We did it! Made it! So that was just fun. And Kabuto was just excellent. It was so cool. The suits, oh my god, the suit designs. And going back as well and watching the Kabuto tribute episodes of Zio was a bad choice actually, because it made me really sad about the Hellhoppers again. But, you know, I don't know, one of the best things about, you know, finishing up the Heisei Rider seasons that I haven't seen yet is going and watching the episodes of Zio and being like, hey, I get what they're doing, ow, my bones, you know? So yeah, Kabuto was awesome, crazy ass show, crack cocaine in there, and washable Inoue. Who knew that such a thing was possible? I didn't think it was possible, but grandmother once said, sometimes that man can cook, I guess. And yeah, and I love Kagaten too, obviously. I love a red-blue primary secondary ship, also those who walk down the same path caught. There's just so much to love about Kabuto, and it also always makes me feel like my brain is exploding, but in a good way, so yeah. So my favorite season of Kamen Rider and my favorite tokusatsu series of all time is Kamen Rider Revice. And my favorite Sentai of all time is Tokyuger, which is a Kobayashi Yasuko show about trains, and nobody thought to be like, hey Laura, Kamen Rider Den-O might fuck you up. Guess what? Guess what happened? I don't remember why I started joking that Den-O is Revice but backwards, but it is. And so, of course, Yuto and Denup's storyline, I saw a lot of, you know, parallels with my dear Igarashi Ikis, and so that whole time I was just like losing my shit, cause it's Revice but backwards! And if you have seen both Revice and Den-O, you know exactly what I mean. If you have not seen Revice and Den-O, you should watch both of them, please. They're really good. Like the Taros, they're just such a good way to like show off Sato Takeru in essence. You know, one of my Oshis in this world is Seito from Mazel, who picked up breakdancing because he was inspired by Ryutaros. And so I kind of figured that Ryuta would be my favorite just for that reason, but then he ended up being my favorite anyway because he's so cute. He draws pictures, and he has a gun, and who gave this baby a gun? But also he's so cute, I love him so much. So when it squishes cheeks, he like activates my grandmother instinct, you know? I just love him, and I love Momo Ryo. I love Momo Ryo. I'm not a person who really ships Iki and Vice together romantically, but through Momotaros and Ryotaro, I understand where those people are coming from, so thank you for that. And if you want to have an example of a female lead who's a non-combatant, but she's still like very involved and very important and just awesome, Hana! Adore Hana, she's great. I loved watching her put the Taros and mostly Momo in, you know, his place. And I feel like they recast her very smartly when the original actress left. It didn't just feel like out of the blue, like we're having a time travel show anyway, so of course the timey-wimey ball is gonna happen and some random stuff's gonna go down, you know? So I feel like they did it in a way that made a lot of sense, and I credit them for that. But yeah, Den-O was just a crazy amount of fun. And of course the guy who loves the Kamen Rider show about a guy and his annoying monster dude and the Kobayashi Yasuko train show is gonna love Kamen Rider Den-O. It made me happy. It made me want to, again, revisit the Zio episodes, which I eventually did. I didn't do it right away. The first thing I watched after I finished Den-O is the last 2 episodes of Revice, so that should tell you a lot about my emotional state at that time. But then I went back and I rewatched the Zio episodes, and I know that, like, people say that the Taros in that specific 2-parter of Zio, like, steal attention from, you know, Sogo and everything, but I still don't feel that way, even though I know them now. So that's cool, and I think it's really funny that Momotaros is legally both gays and was. It's just really funny to me. But yeah, Den-O, super enjoyable. I guess you could say it was truly Ijan Sugejan. But that would be weird if you said that, so don't. You can just say that it's good. Also, actually, we're not done yet. I really love, like, when there's coffee as a plot element, as I'm sure that you guys all figured out with my 7-minute coffee rant in my Ultraman arc essay. And I don't know, I just loved coffee being like a plot point, and I loved Irie a lot as well. I love an older sibling and I love coffee, so like those things combined made me very happy. And her whole storyline with Yuto, heartbreaking, amazing, unstoppable, 10 out of 10. Amazing. I don't know, I just really had so much fun watching Den-O. I loved it a lot. I think that it totally makes sense that it became as popular as it did, just because what's not to love, you know? It might not be like as plot heavy as some people like, but the characters are so strong that who cares, you know? I love all the characters. Even like Kai, our Go Girl Give Us Nothing antagonist, at least I could like point at him and be like, haha, you are guy from Ultraman Orb, which I also haven't finished yet, but it's fine. And I don't know, I just loved them. I loved Ryotaro too. We need to get him like a padded room so that he can't hurt himself. This poor clumsy boy. He like rolls down a hill in one of the first episodes, and I am so fond of him. This poor boy. And you know, it also makes Heisei Generations Forever hit different, because it's like, holy shit, they got the fucking Sato Takeru back for this? Awesome! So good. Very cool. Ijan, and Sugejan. So after like hearing about it for years and years and years, I decided to finally hop onto Garo this year because they cast Seto Toshiki as the villain in the Taiga movie. And obviously I started with the first season, and I thought it was fine. I thought it was fine. I thought it worked very well as a sort of like proof of concept that a show like Garo can exist. I thought it did a very good job of, you know, building up what the Makai Order is, what Garo is, what that means, and like establishing the world. Didn't love it, but like it worked. It's a functional show. I think part of the reason that it didn't work for me as well is just because like the archetype of a normal woman who is desirable to supernatural forces and her stoic knight who's protecting her, that's not something that you would see in like Toei Tokusatsu very often. but it is something that you see a lot in like fantasy and romance, genre works. So it just kind of didn't reinvent the wheel for me, but I enjoyed it enough. I thought the action sequences were great. I thought that, again, the world building, it does a great job of explaining to you what Garo is. And it also just didn't really do much for me personally, but I don't regret watching it. I can see why people love it, it's just not my thing. So I went ahead and I skipped to Garo Yami wo Terasumono, mostly for the novelty of having, two cancelled former Toku actors in a show. And then a thing happens to me, and that thing's name is Dogai Ryuga. Yami wo Terasumono is a really, the whole central mystery. What's up with Full City? Who's creating these model horrors? Who and why are they doing this? Especially on rewatch, I feel like it's such a well-done mystery because the clues about the true mastermind are very much sprinkled in there. But the first time I watched it, I was totally blindsided and I was like, holy shit, it's redacted character? No way. But it builds so clearly in retrospect that it's like, how did I not figure out that it was that character, And Ryuga... See, the thing about my love for Ryuga is that it kind of developed mostly within the Goldstorm and Kami no Kiba movie, events. But, in retrospect, I just love that he's not this, stoic badass. He's arrogant. He's devil may care. He's very emotional. And he cares a lot, maybe a little bit too much for a Makai Knight. And it's just watching him grow and watching him earn the title of Garo, which, the whole thing about the Garo armor losing its shine and him having to defeat the Mado horrors to regain its shine, it's such a simple metaphor and it works so well. Props to that. Also, I love him, so yay. I also really loved Takeru. Takeru in my first go around was actually my favorite of the guys, just because, the sort of playboy type that shouldn't have worked for me. I should have hated him, but through his relationship with Rui, and through how terribly it ends, to me, everywhere Dogai Ryuga goes, he meets a 19-year-old, and even if he's not actually 19, Takeru is 19 in spirit, and he grows up the hard way, and it was just fun. It was just interesting to me, I guess. And Miss Rion! For one thing, compared to Karu from the first season of Garo, Rion gets to be a lot more active in the plot because she's a Makai priestess, right? So I loved that, firstly. She is so stylish and cool. She reminds me a bit of a darker take on, Poppy from X-Aid a little bit. Mostly in terms of, she's the one who's, costume changing and, helping the men out. But just because she's helping the men out doesn't mean that she doesn't get to do stuff on her own, which is really cool. I love her a lot. I am so fond of Rion. She's another character that I can relate to, so I like that a lot. And like I said, the central mystery, the pieces falling into place, it's just so well written. And I love that the villain gets what they deserve. I love that the villain gets what they deserve. In a show that's very bleak at points, in a show where things go really fucking terribly for our heroes, it was nice to see that karma wins in the end, So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if the first season of Garo made me understand what Garo is, then Yami wo Terasumono made me understand why people love it so much. Even though most people are attached to, Koga and his timeline, that's fine. But I am a ride or die for Dogai Ryuga, apparently, so yay. So I went into Goldstorm knowing that Jinga and Ryuga is the second most popular Garo ship on AO3, and I walked out of Goldstorm having contributed to that number, so Remember when I mentioned that there would be toxic yaoi that I talked about? I feel like, you know, in the time between Yami wo Terasumono and Goldstorm, Ryuga and Rion both have matured a lot, and they're more aware of, you know, what the burden of their job is. And then you bring in a character like Jinga, who is so, like, obviously, you know, Ryuga's narrative foil, and I love narrative foils. It's sexy, always. And then you bring in this character Jinga, who is so charismatic, and so despicable, and he's always having these homoerotic sword fights with Ryuga. It just does a really good job of pushing Ryuga, like, through the last bits of his character development, you know? I also think that Gald is the funniest character of all time. He's just really funny to me. I don't know. He's definitely the funniest character of the Ryugaverse anyway. Who let this guy be a priest? They should have given him like so much therapy, and then maybe a little bit of priesthood afterwards, you know? But it's funny, so it's fine. And I don't know, just like, viewing Goldstorm as a continuation of Ryuga's growth throughout Yami wo Terasumono is just amazing. Because if Yami wo Terasumono is about Ryuga learning what it means to be the light, then Goldstorm is about Ryuga learning that just because he's the light doesn't mean that there's not darkness in him, and that's okay. And I love that kind of theme. I love, you know, humans have flaws, humans have dark sides, there can't be a rainbow without some rain type of stories. And the episode where the Garo show form debuts, what with Ryuga facing his inner darkness, oh my god, peak. Absolutely peak. I also think that Amelie does like the funniest thing ever when she goes out, oh, well, let me explain to you my backstory and then I'll help you, like, fight my husband or whatever. Haha, suckers, that was so fucking funny of her. Loved that. And especially knowing, you know, how Jinga and Amelie met, thanks to watching that episode of Makai Retsuden, it's just very interesting to see, like, she was just like a shy, slightly, you know, autism-coded woman, and he was basically just Karuya Tsukasa again. And I don't know, it's just interesting that anyone can fall into darkness if they experience enough pain. And what makes Ryuga and Rion like really interesting foils to them is like they have also experienced that pain, however, they don't let it corrupt them and completely turn them like what happened with Jinga and Amelie. So that was very interesting and I liked that a lot. And Ryuga looks really cute with like his hair like that. I don't know, I like him. I like him. But yeah, I think that like Garo Yami wo Terasumono and Garo Goldstorm just do such an excellent job of developing this character and of making you attached to him, making you root for him. And it's very, very clear in Goldstorm as well, even if they're not always treated like this by the narrative, it's very, very clear that Ryuga and Rion see each other as equals and partners. And that's what makes a good heterosexual ship, is like, they respect each other, they work well together, and they know that they work well together. And it's great. It's like, that's what I want to see out of my head, you know? But also, if you're me, and you have a deranged brain, and you look at that one Jinga and Ryuga sword fight where like, they keep sheathing and unsheathing each other's swords, and you're like, that's homoerotic. You got that option too now, and that's pretty great. So yeah, Goldstorm, freaking excellent, great job, loved that. Mashin Sendai Kira Major is, well, firstly, this is just a thing that I was kind of thinking about. It's kind of wild that there's only one, like, Sentai season for the Reiwa era that has 2 women. It's insane, it's just weird to think about, I don't know. Like, I think that it's great when we have shows like King Oger, where we have a non-binary character, but also, like, why did we stop having 2 women? I guess I kind of took it for granted that that was the case. But yeah, Kira Major was super fun. I know that it reminds a lot of people of Tokuger. It actually reminded me more of Ninninger, which is still a compliment, by the way. I am a Ninninger defender. But the whole thing with like Kira mentality and mentality, and like the characters being from like all walks of life and having like normal person jobs, It just reminded me more of Ninja, and I still liked that a lot. It was a lot of fun. I really loved the cast. There were so many good episodes, and Shoji Kohei again. Because no matter where I go, I can't escape from this motherfucker playing characters who are lore bait. Because of course, I love the fucking wonder idiot brother who... It hurts. It hurts. I didn't mean to have a type, it just kind of happened to me. But I do really love Takemichi. I actually made a set of nails based on his suit. I'm not wearing it right now because it doesn't match the shirt, but you know, I've made like 15 different Iki sets. So basically when I make a nail set for a character, that's because they're like high tiered love status. So congrats, Mr. Wonder Boy. Shigeru is also very much a lore bait character due to being a blue gay loser. And that's not like me thinking that he's gay because I have a ship, I just think that he's fruity. And I want to push him over. He's such a loser. And I hate him, and he sucks, which is, I mean, it means I'm very fond of him. I am extremely fond of him. He's my second favorite Atomu Mizuishi tokusatsu character, of which I have now seen all of them, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, not much to say about Karameter. It's just some damn good Sentai, and I liked it. It's not my favorite of the Reiwa era, but I also, well, number one, I haven't actually seen a lot of Reiwa era Sentai, but also Karameter's just really good. And I miss it when women were in stuff. So yes, I watched Makai no Hana, despite not watching, you know, Garo Season 2. It's fine. Makai no Hana was good. It felt a lot closer to the tokusatsu that I'm kinda used to, which is not a bad thing. I think Raiga is a very, very charming protagonist. I think it's nice to have a Garo protagonist who's like, just a nice guy. He's really nice. He's a sweetie. Pats him on the head, you know? He's nice. I think that Mayuri could have had like a slightly better written arc, but I'm always gonna be fond of, you know, characters learning to be human and learning to view themselves as human. And then there's Crow, the other Atomu Mizuishi tokusatsu character, who I just think is hilarious. He's so funny. He has no name, he has no parents, he is a ninja for no reason, he looks like 15. I don't know how old, you know, he was at the time that they shot this, but he looks like 15. And the whole Raiga, Mayuri, Crow love triangle, they should have just been in OT3. They should have just been in OT3. I think that Crow, if he admitted to himself that yeah, he wants to kiss Raiga on the mouth, it could have solved some stuff and maybe he wouldn't have been possessed by a demon at the end, but it's fine. They just should have been in OT3. But yeah, I don't know, it's not like it really intrigued me and had me hooked the way that Yami wa Terasumono and Goldstorm did, but I also enjoyed it a lot more than I enjoyed the first season of Garo, so it's got that going for it. And yeah, that one white guy that's in it, look up Morning Musume English lessons, because I can't see that guy, because he's in Ghost 2. He's in like a bunch of stuff. He's in Ghost 2, and I can't see him without thinking refrigerator and cheese. And that makes no sense if you've not seen Morning Musume English lessons. So look up that video, refrigerator and cheese, have my curse. I super loved the final battle too. I thought that was really cool. That's it. I have nothing else to say. Yeah. Then I watched Hagane wo Tsugumono, and like as a show, it's like objectively kind of mid. You know, it just didn't do much for me. Except in regards to thinking about Ryuga and how much he's grown. Because the Ryuga who, you know, we meet in the first episode of Yami wo Terasumono, he would not have been as effective of a mentor to Soma as, you know, the Ryuga who's gone through all these experiences did. So, like, from the perspective of someone who really, really cares about Dogai Ryuga and his character arc, I loved seeing him, like, step into that mentorship role. Also, if I had a nickel for every time that there was a Garo character and their parent was played by someone who's also had played a parent of an Ultra host, I'd have 2 nickels. Congratulations, Hizayuma, you have a half-brother. But yeah, if I take off my Ryuga love goggles and like my... How to put this? My disappointment that Rihanna wasn't there. Hagane wo Tsugumono was just kinda eh. Story really didn't do much for me. Action was cool, I guess. It was fun to see Takeru ghost in something. But, like, he didn't really get to do anything. He was just kinda there. So yeah, Hagane wo Tsugumono, if I take off my fangirl goggles, it's okay. But if I put them back on, Ryuga is so hot in it. And I just love him being a mentor figure. I love, like, concrete proof that a character has grown. Because he's still, like, very much recognizably Ryuga, but he's a Ryuga who can, like, give good advice to the next generation. And I love that. Very nice. Everything else, eh. Ultraman Trigger! What I learned is that if a show is a tokusatsu show, and it's from 2021, and it isn't Zenkaiger, people fucking hate it. I don't think that's fair. If a bad romance plot makes a whole show bad, then why is it socially acceptable to like Kamen Rider Kiva? Checkmate, atheists. And like, it's true that I haven't seen, you know, the original Ultraman Tiga, but like, the thing is, I don't think Trigger was supposed to be a one-to-one remake of Tiga, and if you want something that's like one-to-one the original Tiga, you can just watch Tiga. And I think that judging Trigger on its own merits, of which it has like several, like, it's a great show. It's a lot of fun. Kengo is so sweet, and I totally fell in love with him because of course I did. I literally, like, a few days before I finished it, I was on the bus. I was on a public bus, and I just thought about him, and I started smiling, and I was like, oh no, it's so over for me. He's so sweet. And if you can't smile, then, like, maybe you should try it a little bit, you know? Just, I don't know, I loved the characters, I loved the action. Again, I loved Kengo, I loved the music. The whole reason that I wanted to watch Trigger in the first place is because I plan on eventually covering the theme song. And I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, but I guess my fate with tokusatsu shows from 2021 that nobody else likes is just to love them so much, even when everyone else thinks they're trash. So yeah, Kengo, welcome to the club. Meet my husband, Iki. Y'all got a lot to talk about, namely in that you're very underappreciated tokusatsu protagonists. And people will say, you know, the lore doesn't make sense or whatever, and to that I say, this isn't the kind of show where that kind of thing really matters, you know? Like, to me at least, there was nothing confusing or difficult to understand about the origins of Trigger. And I don't know, I don't get it. I'm not saying it's a perfect show, I'm just saying that, like, people talk about Trigger like it burned their house down. It didn't burn my house down, so why did it burn your house down? What were your expectations going in? Did you want a one-to-one remake of Tiga? Or did you want, like, a take on Tiga that is new and fresh for the new era? Because I wasn't expecting either of those things. I just wanted to cover the theme song, and then I walked out with a boyfriend, so, like, who knows, you know? So yeah, this is not a place where I will be complaining about Trigger because it's the popular opinion. Another unpopular opinion, Trigger's freaking great. And I don't get it. Why don't people like it? That's not like an invitation to, like, explain why people don't like Trigger. I know why people don't like Trigger. I just don't get it. I just don't think that you can really judge something that's not meant to be a one-to-one remake and, like, be disappointed because it's not a one-to-one remake. That just doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm the wrong one, but I love Trigger, I love Kengo. I hope he and Akito kiss. I hope they kiss. Because, like, he gives Akito a fucking flower. That's pretty gay. And then, like, later on, Yuna, like, it's also, like, shown that the antagonist who's into her, whose name I am blanking on, like, dreams about giving her a flower. So it's, like, very explicitly romantic framing for, like, no goddamn reason. And yeah. I just like sugar a lot. Sorry, not sorry. And alright, my voice is dying, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. And it's a good thing too, because I ran out of shows that I finished this year. If you liked this video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, but of course feel no pressure. In the description, you can find a link to my Linktree that has everywhere you can find me online, including my shirt store, where you can buy this shirt, along with variants for every other King Ojo Nation, so if you want to cop one of those, you totally can. You can also find my Buy Me a Coffee, so if you watched all that and was like, hey, it's worth $5, you can totally eat me $5. I will be back later this month with another cover, and I will be back in February with another long-form video essay. I am in the scripting process of it right now, and it's been a lot of fun so far. I have really liked writing it so far, so yeah. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. Please don't hurt me. Bye-bye!